Hi, I'm Dr. David Novanak of Doctor's Choice Physical Medicine Rehab in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And today I'd like to talk to you about probably one of the most misunderstood issue in the workers' compensation laws in Pennsylvania. And that is the list of 6 medical providers and the 90-day rule. So on the surface, if you get injured at work, your employer might have a list of 6 healthcare providers. So if they have a list of 5, that doesn't count. If they have a list of 9, that's okay. It has to be at least a list of 6. And if they have that list of 6 healthcare providers, they may tell you that you have to treat with one of those providers for the first 90 days of your injury. And that's within the law. But there are a lot of exceptions to that. And again, the first exception is if there isn't a list of 6. If there's just a list of 5, you can treat with any provider you like. Another thing that I see that's not really followed like it should be, if there is a list of 6 providers there, your employer cannot tell you which provider to go to. If there's a list of 6, you can go to any one of those lists of 6. You know, sometimes people come in and say, my employer told me I had to go to the hospital, or my employer had told me I had to go to this doctor. Well, they may be doing that, not really understanding the law. Once there's a list of 6, you're entitled to go to any of those lists of 6. One doesn't have preference over the other. Now, there's also an exception to that list of 6. You know, an employer can't make a list of doctors and have one doctor very close to the workplace and the other 5 30 miles away. Within that list of 6 providers, they have to be geographically accessible. It means they have to be close enough for you to treat with without being put out of your way to treat with them. And it might be close to work, or it might be closer to home. For instance, if you're off work, you know, that doctor should be closer to home. If you are going to work and being treated, well, that doctor might be closer to work. If you have to travel for a period of time, that could be a reasonable thing to get treated before or after work. Now, another thing that I see violated all the time, and I don't think employees or employers really understand this, is that once you're hired, your employer has to give you the list of 6, and you have to sign that paper acknowledging that list of 6. When you're injured and you tell your employer that you're injured, they have to give you that list of 6 again, and once again you have to sign that you're acknowledging that list of 6. And that list of 6 has to be posted in your workplace in a conspicuous place so you know who they are all the time. So when you do get injured, you know who you have to treat with. So if that list isn't posted, if you didn't sign for it when you first got hired, if you didn't sign for it when you told your employee you were hired, the law wasn't followed, and you can treat with any provider or doctor that you like to. Now, there's another thing that's an exception to that list, and that's like, we call it the specialist rule. Let's say that you hurt your eye, and there's not an eye doctor on that list. Well, the law does not require you to see, let's say, a GP practitioner for your eye complaint when there's not an eye doctor on the list. Obviously, if you have an injury that requires a specialist, and that specialist isn't on the list, the law allows you to treat with a specialist that you need, even though they're not on the list. And that was a Supreme Court decision that's called Martin versus the Workers' Compensation Appeal Board. And in that instance, there was not a chiropractor on the list, and the patient had a back injury. And the Supreme Court decided that since a chiropractor wasn't provided and the patient wanted to treat with a chiropractor, the patient could go and treat with the chiropractor. So in review, one of the things that we see most often with workers' compensation is the list of 6 and the 90-day rule isn't followed. Typically, there might not be a list at all, or else there's not a list of 6. Second thing is that if there is a list of 6 and all the rules are followed, those 6 doctors or providers have to be within a reasonable travel time for your injury. And there's other reasons also. Let's say perhaps you need a specialist for your injury and they're not provided on that list, or you need a special type of rehab equipment that's only at a doctor's office that's not on that list. So just because there is a list of 6, if the rules aren't followed, you can treat with any provider you'd like. And if you'd like more information about workers' compensation, you can call our office at 570-622-2525 and ask for our workers' compensation report, and we'll be glad to send that out for you. Additionally, for our patients, we have a list of attorneys that are that we've liked working with for workers' compensation, because that's a very specialized part of the law. So thanks for listening, and if you have any questions about the list of 6 or the 90-day rules, feel free to call us up and ask us about it also.